Hello, ladies. I am so honored and truly touched to have Dr. Charmaine Gregory here today. She is a woman who's a board certified emergency room medicine doctor, a mother of 3 beautiful children. She is in Guam right now, you guys. She's actually joining us from Guam, so we are lucky to have her. She's also the genius behind Podcasts for Professionals. She's a podcaster herself, and her podcast is Fearless Freedom with Dr. G. So she'll talk a little bit about our podcast course if you're interested. But we're here today to talk about her story. She has a very, very unique story of overcoming her fear of public speaking by actually creating a podcast. So we're going to talk about that. Thank you so much for joining me today, especially from Guam.
I'm excited to be here. Yes, I'm in Guam, and I'm actually on my porch. And I don't know if you can see very much, but that's the background of my porch. I'm kind of in the shade because the sun is really hot. But yeah, now greetings from Guam. Greetings from my village, Manilao, Guam.
I know. Well, all I can see is blue and beautiful. That's what it looks like, is blue, like clouds and beautiful. And I can see it looks like a little bit of ocean, maybe. I don't know. In the background.
Yes, there's ocean and mountains back there.
Yeah, I'm in Missouri. I don't have the same view. Everything is dead grass.
It's all good. It's all good.
You know, you lived in Michigan until about a month ago.
Oh, yeah. Very familiar.
Well, tell us about your story. Tell us about how why did you decide podcasting for to overcome your fear of public speaking?
So for me, so I will say that I didn't even realize that I had a fear of public speaking until I noticed that the whole dance that I was doing every single time I was getting ready to do a talk was absolutely ridiculous. It literally was the night before I would toss and turn, get zero sleep, right? And we all know that if you try to perform in any kind of venue, you need sleep. And so not getting sleep was already putting me at a disadvantage. But of course, I didn't even realize it. So I would get no sleep the night before. I would get to the venue, and I literally would have to make sure that I was wearing a blazer. And why would I need to wear a blazer? Because I had betrayal happening in my armpits, okay? There were rain storms happening there, and it was horrendous. And so I had to always protect myself from the embarrassment of having little pools, underneath on the blouse. So I'd always wear a blazer. So there was that, this crazy eruption of moisture in the armpits. Then, the moisture didn't just stay in the armpits. They were also in the palms of my hands, right? So I couldn't really shake anybody's hand. That wasn't real shaking hand. I couldn't shake anybody's hand. I was constantly wiping my hands because they were so sweaty. And then I would be experiencing some pretty intense action in my chest, okay? So I literally had a heart that basically decided that it was fed up, had it up to here, did not want any more of its incarceration in my ribcage. And so basically decided it was just going to go as fast as it possibly could and try to break free and make a run for the hills. And so I had palpitations like crazy, and I was literally going 160, really high numbers. And literally kind of like when you're working out, how you get those peak heart rates. This is exactly what was happening to me, and I was not doing anything. I was just standing there. And so, there was that. So I had the sweaty palms. I had the beautiful moisture rings on the armpit. And I had this basically rebellious heart that was beating at light speed and making its attempt to escape. So these are all the physical things. And so as if that were not enough, my mind decided that it wanted a part of the action too. And so basically the thoughts that were on replay, the thoughts that were on replay were kind of along this line. So it was like, Charmaine, you are going to trip over the microphone wire and you are going to fall flat on your face. You're going to break your face. There's going to be blood on the floor, blood on your people in the audience, blood on your suit. you're going to try to get up and you've created moisture on the floor. So you're going to slip in that said moisture and you're going to break another part of you. And when you finally get it together and you hobble your way up to the podium and you grab the clicker and you are going to get ready to click, and you are clicking and you are clicking and you are clicking, but not a single slide is making its way to the screen. You go to open your mouth to say all of the content that you have in your brain, and not a single sound is going to come out. And so this was not normal, but this is what I went through every single time. And I had to do a lot of public speaking in my position as a faculty member. And so I was doing public speaking to resident doctors, I was to colleagues, I was doing speaking engagements and items to even just families, right? So I am describing things and I am sharing, and every time I had so much angst, there was so much like endorphin driven stuff that was happening. And one day I realized it and I said, oh my gosh, how have I been coping with this all this time? What? This is not right. Like, this is a problem. And so, of course, you know, what we do as women, we look at the problem and we say, how can we find a solution, right? Because what's the point of complaining about something if you can't figure out how to fix it? So I said, you know what? In practice, we have something called desensitization, right? So you may have heard of this. Basically, it is you get exposed to small amounts of the thing that you don't like or the thing that you're allergic to. And over time, the body acclimatizes to it. And so you are able to tolerate it. And so I said, well, that thing works in medical practice. What if it would work in real life, like with this fear I have? And so I decided that the way that I was going to desensitize myself was, number one, I was just going to go all out or all in, maybe all in. I was going to go all in, and I was just going to be like, you know what? Today I'm declaring myself a public speaker, and I'm going to get in front of more audiences, and I am just going to do it and do it and do it. Just keep failing forward, right? Because the more you put yourself out there, the more you fail forward, is the more you're going to grow, because every experience is going to teach you something. And every time you get in front of an audience, you're going to get something in return, right? Because yes, you are giving them the amazing content that you're providing in the talk, but they're giving you feedback. Mm-hmm. They're nodding or they're asking questions. And then what that does is the next time that you are speaking, that talk is going to be even more robust because you have the content, the feedback from the previous audience. So that was part of the plan, right? So that was the plan: get in front of more people and do more speaking, learn from every single audience experience. The next part of the plan was to actually just kind of chronicle the experience of doing that, of getting on stages in front of people and facing fear. And it came out in the form of a podcast. And so initially started a podcast kind of for selfish reasons, you know, just to kind of like talk to other people who are experiencing fear and have found solutions to how they're going to face their fear. And it turned into something a whole lot more than that, right? Mm-hmm. But, you know, that's kind of what happened and how I went from, you know, having this ridiculously paralyzing fear of public speaking to actually doing public speaking as a public speaker, and also having a podcast that essentially is focused on facing fear and emerging victoriously from that fear. So that's basically the story of the podcast and how it came about.
You literally were making my heart race when you were telling me that, when you were talking about that story. It was so vivid. I was feeling like, oh my God, kind of jittery as well. I mean, I literally totally get you. In college, I did not make one presentation without passing out every single time. I did multiple
Wow.
presentations where I woke up sitting in a chair and then the professor would say, you still have to do it. And I'm like, no, how
Oh
is
my
this
God.
possible? I like woke up and I'm here. Like I can tell you multiple times. So I understand how incredibly scary public speaking is. You just think the worst, that everybody else
Oh
must
yes.
think you're
Oh
just
yes.
dumb and you don't know anything. And why did they invite this girl up here? You just have all these like
It's like, really
imposter
me?
syndrome, sort of
Yes.
feelings like,
Yes.
there's no way. There's no way. Well, so and on your podcasting, like what have you learned that has been like eye-opening? Because I know this has been a journey for you to completely turn this into a podcasting course and
Oh
now
yes.
public speaking and now doing so much more in your entrepreneurial life. So what did you learn from it? Like what, at the end were you like, oh my gosh, I never knew I would do this?
Well, okay. Well, first of all, what I learned is that I actually love it. So and it's not just the actual, like, getting in front of the mic and do the thing, but all of the technical aspects of it. Like I am so not a physics geek at all. Like, I struggled in physics actually. I was like, why do you have to make this a requirement for med school? Like, come on, really? I mean, I was not, and I also did not do the most fantastic when we did sound and all of the things around sound. And so it was very surprising to me that I actually fell in love with sound. And so, that was surprising. And the other thing that was also surprising was just how you develop that skill set of asking questions. And interviewing, I just kind of thought, oh, yeah, interviewing is no big deal. You just ask a bunch of questions. But there is a lot that you pick up. You really get into active listening, and you also get into how you can be really flexible during the interview so that you can actually reference things that were mentioned in the beginning. You could tie it in at the end. You can ask questions that are going to be more probing to the person so that you can get deeper layers of the conversation. And so these are things that I did not have the skill set for when I first started. And I have learned that that is something, that particular skill set is very transferable to my practice as a physician. And so what I noticed was I was able to connect a lot better with my patients once I started podcasting than before. Now, I had methods that I would utilize, but it was just how my level of active listening just improved tremendously, and how I became more adept at the flexibility of the conversation, the gamesmanship associated with really good, rich conversation that was really surprising about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine it would make you a better physician because instead of asking those standard questions we get taught, like how long has this been going on? What have you been doing to fix it? Like we get taught these standard questions to ask physicians, but this time you're actually having it with some depth, right? You're asking
Yeah.
them, well, what do you mean by you weren't able to get here to come to the doctor? What happened? Like, let's dive deeper into what it is. And then you can ultimately help them heal a little bit better as well, right? Because you're not
Oh,
actually.
absolutely. And you get the information that you actually need.
Well, there's that too. that's somewhat helpful on your, especially you in the emergency room. You need to get your information fast.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, you need to make the decision tree is much faster than me who's asking in an annual exam. Well, what's going on with your birth control pill? We have a little bit more time to make our decisions from that point. And you have a course that for podcasting for professionals. So you're actually helping. That's how I met you, because you taught me how to do this and got me interested in podcasting and interested in having those conversations with women's health experts. I've learned so much from just listening to other women that are in this field. And meeting women, these badass women that are doing just the coolest things.
It's like,
I know. I had no idea they existed. So I'm so grateful for you for teaching me to start this and to telling me that it's okay to do it and just go for it. And you can learn as you go, right?
Yes, you certainly can. I'm constantly learning. And I mean, if you stop, then, we never arrive. Like, we're always going to be learning. We're always going to be, improving upon the base. So yeah, no, I'm so inspired Jen, because I'm looking at this, and I see the logo, I see, Woven MD, and I see how you have a writing over your head there. That is amazing, and I've watched episodes, and I mean, you have been really doing a phenomenal job with this, and I know that the impact is great. That the one time that you're spending half an hour talking to somebody, and those nuggets that they share, it will be touching somebody, like somebody in the audience needed to hear those points, and it's going to make a difference for them. They may be at a pivot point, and they may be wanting to decide which way to go, which side of the road to choose, and they may just choose that side of the road that's going to push them outside of their comfort zone and really help them to grow, because they're inspired by the fact that you do the same thing, right? Mm-hmm. Because I remember when you said, "Oh my God, I don't know if I could do this. This is like, it's not perfect." And I was like, "Girl, I am not type A. I can't really relate." I'll tell you that just do it, right? Because done is always better than perfect, right? Because you can always improve. You can always do like 2.0 and 3.0. People expect that, actually. So, better to have it out there and making the impact that it's making than to not have it out there at all.
Oh yeah, podcasting will fix your type A personality.
Yes, it does. It certainly does.
Interviewing people on Facebook will certainly fix your type A personality, because you don't have control. Like, you don't have any control. But I have 4 kids, so I have no control whatsoever at my house either. So it's just like being at my house. I've learned so much, and I've offered so much more to patients too, because I'm learning about these resources that I didn't know existed, like interviewing experts in menopause. And I can tell them, hey, I don't have the answer, but I know somebody who does. You should go to her website and check her out, because she's fantastic. And just being able to give those things. I never used to do that. I'm 13 years in private practice, and here I am learning like it's my day one of medical school.
I mean, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. And same thing, I'm sure, with you teaching other people that fear. I mean, you don't have to be scared of what, your biggest fear. It's okay to fail, right? Fear of failure is what most people.
Perfectly fine.
Yeah. I think most people have fear of failure as their like number one thing. They just don't want to start anything because they're just afraid it's going to fail. And why would anybody want to be attached to something that fails? Even if it's losing weight, quitting cigarettes, starting a podcast, it's all about that fear of like, what if someone found out I'm not actually an expert in what I'm doing and I don't know how to do it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally understand. It's funny because like I definitely was in that space where, I don't want to try it. I don't want to do it. I mean, it sounds like I'm so brave, right? Because it's like, oh, you just like did that? Like you just got in front of people even though you were scared? Yeah, I was scared. There's no doubt about it. The thing about it is that fear is funny because it is like potential energy. Okay, now I'm going to go back to science again, even though I said I wasn't like super excited about it. But anyway, so it's like potential energy. So potential energy is literally like you have all the energy and it's in a box and it's locked down. Okay. And then you want to convert your fear, all of the angst, all of those adrenaline, stimulated activities. You want to turn that into kinetic energy. So instead of making it something that's negative, which is what it was doing to me, like I was having those negative thoughts, I was, manifesting negative kind of things in my body. Instead of doing that, it's like you have to make the conversion from potential energy to kinetic energy. And that kinetic energy basically propels you to do amazing things in that area. So now, do I get nervous before I speak? Absolutely, I do. But I have affirmations that I do, and I have methods that I utilize to channel that negative energy into positive energy. And so it then makes me animated when I'm out there on the stage. It makes me, more engaging. It makes me want to go down into the audience and have eye contact with the audience. It makes you do things that basically put yourself out there and makes a better experience for those that you're giving to. And so, yes, I'm scared. I was scared when I started my business. I was scared when, I mean, pretty much everything. I was scared to bring my kid home, the first kid home. I was like, are they really letting me bring this kid home? Like, what is wrong with these people? So, yes, there's always going to be fear, but it's what you do with that. You can either choose to be on the negative side of things and keep it bottled up in the negative space, or you can choose to manifest it as something very positive and have it work for you. Have that energy basically ramp you up to the next level in everything that you're doing. And we all have imposter syndrome. So newsflash, we all have it. I don't care if you are the top of the top, upper echelon, you have gotten every single prize in your field. You are the go-to person. That person still has imposter syndrome. That person still feels like, are they really coming to me for the answers? Like, that is a ubiquitous feeling. And just understand that you have the expertise, you have the power to make it happen, because you do. And just have confidence in that. And as Dr. Jen said, you literally can get started with the rough draft, right? You can get started with version 1 and you can improve upon it as you go. You get feedback from those that you're impacting, and you can take that feedback and improve upon for the next version. So don't let fear stop you. Just go for it. And yes, you will fall. That's okay. Doesn't matter how many times you fall. All that matters is that you get back up again. And it sounds cliche, but it's really, really true.
Yeah. And what you're saying also reminds me, I'm reading Atomic Habits. I don't know if you've read that book or not, but
yes.
He kind of says, the mindset component of saying, instead of saying, no, thank you, I don't want that cigarette, you're saying, I'm not a smoker. Like you've declared yourself what you think you should be. And it changes so much of how you approach it. So in that example, what you're talking about with public speaking, if you say, well, I'm a public speaker, like that, yes, I'm an expert public speaker, I got to imagine it makes it much easier to start the process if you have that sort of, instead of, well, I think I'm probably going to do that. like that kind of process of saying, I'm just going to get myself a little iPhone and I'm going to speak into it and do a podcast or, do a Facebook Live and just go for it. Right?
Yes. Yes. No, that's exactly right. Because whatever you expect is what's going to happen. Right. So this is why mindsets, this is why affirmations, this is why all of those things, like really making sure that you feed your mind with things that are powerful and that are positive, is so important, because what ends up happening is you manifest whatever you expect. So if you have a vision for your life and you're saying, you know what, in 5 years, I'm going to be at XYZ place, I'm going to have this and this happening, I see myself wearing this outfit. Like if you start thinking towards that and you visualize that and you say it will happen. That's just facts. And so that being said, if you do negative affirmations, that will also happen, right? So if you expect that you're not going to be successful at your business, or you expect that you're not going to get the promotion at your job, or you expect that you're not going to perform to the level that you would like to, then it's going to happen. But if your expectation is you are headed to a higher plane in everything that you do, then that will also happen. So mindset is huge. It's so big.
Yeah. Are you going to share with us your secret that you do right before you get on your public speaking? You said affirmations and a routine. What is this secret routine?
Yes. So it's not really that elaborate, but I tell myself, I am here to give. I am here to receive. I am here to make sure that this audience's soul is edified. This audience's soul is fed with the content that I'm providing. Like I just say those kinds of things before I go out. And then I also have learned to start utilizing breathing exercises, because I had a big issue, and I think a lot of us have this. I would use fillers a lot. And so when I get nervous, I would, number one, start speaking very rapidly. And then number two, I would literally use fillers. And so I love to say, and I know when I listen back to myself, it's quite annoying. And so I found that when I want to say really what I am trying to do is get to the next thought. So instead of saying I just take a breath. And it does two things. It gets rid of the filler. It allows me to oxygenate, right? So it gives me more power within me to be able to give the speech. And then it also slows down my rate of speaking so that I can be understood. So that's basically what I do.
And some people practice breathing techniques before they even get out there. They have tapping techniques or deep breathing exercises because it just calms their heart down to begin with, and have a nice normal heart rate before you even get up there, and try to calm down that jittery butterfly inside your stomach. Because I mean, I've heard of experts, I mean, people who do this for a living have got up there and said, I still get nervous every single time I walk up there. So you got to believe that there's still always that inner voice that says, are they going to find out that I don't know everything? Are they going to know that there's going to be, or are they going to ask me something I just don't know, you know?
Oh yeah.
So I think that's a beautiful plan. And I love that you are going in a service oriented, you know, affirmation, right? You're trying to say, I'm here to serve you. I'm here to help you to, you know, that kind of mission that we have all as physicians is just to help the person that we're standing in front of.
Absolutely. And that is exactly who we are and what we're doing. I mean, even as venue right now, we are serving your audience, you know, and so it's like our intentions when we go into an activity really allows for the highest impact of that activity. So if our intentions are, you know, lower or negative, then that activity will not be a success. Now, you know, obviously everybody sees success as something different, but, you know, success for me as a speaker is having the person that's listening to what I'm saying take away, you know, a couple of nuggets. I don't expect that they're going to take away all of the content that I'm providing, because usually when you're giving a half an hour talk or hour talk, you have so much content in there. You're trying to weave a story, and you're also trying to make sure that you get the pertinent points across. And so they have something that they can walk away with at the end. Maybe even if they walk away with one nugget or 1 point from the talk, that is a huge win. Because typically when we go and we listen to a lecture, if we don't actively take notes or we don't go back and listen to the lecture again, honestly, we don't get much out of it. It's great when we're there. It might be inspiring. It might be enlightening. You know, we may get an aha moment of some sort, but in general, we tend not to pull items from that talk. So to me, a successful situation is when somebody goes and listens to something that I'm presenting, and they can walk away with at least one nugget or one thing that they can actually implement in their life. And that's tremendous. And so those are the kind of mantras, intentions that really help us to level up our game in whatever we're doing. So for me, it's public speaking, podcasting. It may be something completely different for you who's listening. So, you know, but whatever that thing is that you're doing, definitely having that mindset. So you go back to mindset again. Having that mindset of positivity and giving, right? Because when we have a giving heart, when we're doing something, we will not only make the largest amount of impact, but we will also have that positive energy come back to us manyfold. And I'm a firm believer in that.
I am too.
So I try my very best to only put out positive into the universe, because I know that she will bounce back what you put out.
I am too. And I think the nuggets that I've learned from you tonight is that it's okay to have those physical symptoms of fear. You should recognize those are physical symptoms of fear, and that's okay. Some people have those, and you should just do it. Just go out there, make a plan, have the right positive attitude with your plan to serve your community and serve your people with the right intention, and to just, you know, face that fear. It's okay. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. And if it works out, great, because you set out that plan, then even better, right?
Absolutely. No, that's beautiful.
What is the adventure I mean, obviously you're in Guam, so that's a huge adventure.
Right.
So what is
Mhm.
the next adventure in Dr. Charmaine Gregory's life? It seems like there's so many things on the list.
Well, so I am super excited about the course, and I am very grateful to you and your classmates that went through the course. And it's so amazing and exciting for me to see you thriving with your shows. Because I just know that that's like the ultimate pay forward right there. And so that adventure, that piece of the adventure is going to continue. I am probably going to run one or two more of those this year. So looking forward to that. And the quote unquote big adventure, hashtag big adventure 2021 was actually the lead up to our move here. So we literally went from Michigan to Guam, and we sold everything. Well, we sold two of our three houses, and we literally gave away as much as we possibly could and sold. Well, I guess we didn't sell anything else. We pretty much gave away everything. And then we brought like what we consider the essentials, but I'm thinking we could have probably like pared it down even more, because we've been without our belongings since the beginning of January, and we haven't even felt a difference. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we've been completely happy, and it's lots of family time, and it's been phenomenal. So I don't know, but I do want my Peloton bike back though. I need that. So, but
So are your belongings not showing up, or what happened there? Are they coming soon on a ship?
Here's the deal. The ship, so this is why it's a big adventure, right? So it's not just the fact that we moved, it's like other stuff. So the ship left the States mainland on the 3rd, and it arrived here last week, Wednesday. But that's just like the beginning of things, right? So the ship, so they got the container off with our stuff. Well, we actually have a container and like a little bit. And so it's in the storehouse. The next step is to have somebody go out there and inspect the container. So they have to go through every single thing in the container and decide that we're not smuggling anything or, you know, whatever. And then they will clear it. And that process can take anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks.
Wow.
So that's why I'm just kind of like, I was of the mindset, and again, I try to be positive. So that's why I was like, well, we'll just have to learn how to deal with not having the stuff, and when it comes, then it'll be fantastic. But right now, we've learned to live without it, and we don't anticipate, at least I don't anticipate that we're going to get our stuff delivered until probably end of April, early May. Wow. And they took it away in beginning of January. But I think part of this, I don't want anybody who is potentially thinking about moving abroad or moving far away to be discouraged, because these are special circumstances, right? We are in a pandemic that always is going to cause an additional amount of delay. You know, the personnel on the shipyard are, you know, our minimum amount of folks, because obviously you're trying to adhere to the regulations that are currently set forward for our safety. And so, you know, that is not the typical scenario. But I would say, though, that we've learned so much from the move, from the fact that we have way more stuff that we actually need. And, you know, to know that we survived all this time without it, and we've been fine. Like, we don't have a sofa. We don't have, like, we rented beds. So that was another thing that was different. So we were like, okay, well, we can't not have any beds to sleep on. That would be ridiculous, because there's no carpet here. It's all tile.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went to like the local rent center and we rented beds. So we had beds to sleep on. They're actually pretty comfortable, by the way. I was not expecting that. And we don't have a sofa. We got like a dining table. We got like one of those outdoor tables from Home Depot, and we use that as a dining table. We have like lawn chairs and other chairs. I mean, but we don't feel like we're missing anything. You know what I mean? So it just teaches you that there are things in life that like we put weight on that really, they don't really matter. Like the material things really kind of don't matter. They're nice, but they're not essential to your joy and your happiness.
Nope. It's an attitude of gratitude, right? That's what you're practicing.
Yes, indeed. Indeed.
Yeah.
And trying to teach the kids that. So hopefully they're learning that lesson. I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure they are. Whether or not they volunteered for it or not, they're still learning those lessons. Well, where can people reach you? Where's all your handles, and where can they reach you if they're interested in your course, or what's the place to find you?
So the course is going to be at podcastinglaunch.com. That is a jump off point for that. For me, I am Charmaine Gregory, MD, on all the platforms except for Twitter, which I'm not really super active on Twitter. But Twitter, I am Charms Fit Doc. So CHARMS, F as in fish, IT, D as in dog, OC. So those are the places. And I'm on like pretty much everything. I'm on TikTok, I'm on IG, I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, and then, like I said, Twitter, but not as much on Twitter.
Well, and you have fantastic YouTube videos that people who are interested in podcasting can get some tips and tricks and just learning what it's like to do it. I think that's, instead of investing in it, if you're not totally sure, you get an example of what it looks like, because you can see all the equipment that you're using. So it's kind of nice for people who are interested to at least get an idea of what that means, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, feel free. All that content is free for perusing. And some of that content on YouTube is essentially linked to the others. So there's some series. So yeah, absolutely. Check those out.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I've been watching them. So, well, thank you so much for being here and for, being a wonderful beacon of light for my group tonight. And we appreciate you staying up to hang out with us for sure.
Yeah, no worries. Anything for you, Jen.
So I'm going to end the Facebook Live, and I thank you guys for watching, and then I'll just get to chat with you for a few minutes after, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's good.